Hi, in this video, I'm going to introduce you to a new helper function we've added to our data connector. It makes material quantity extraction from speckle objects very easy, and it works with any application that sends material quantities like Revit and ArchiCAD. In this demo, I will use a very simple Revit object. I've sent this single wall element into Speckle and loaded it in Power BI. So this is how it looks like inside Speckleverse. And as I said, I've already loaded it in Power BI and open Power Query Editor. And we're going to use our helper function here. But before we get into Power BI, I want to show you how it looks inside Revit. So I've created this very simple material quantity takeoff here. And as you can see, we have two materials in this object, metal flooring and gypsum wallboards and their corresponding material area. So Speckle already publishes all the material quantity information from the host application. In your dashboards, you might be interested in the material area, volume, its length, or maybe its count, its weight, etc. We extract all the information, and the helper function that I'm going to show you, when combined with another helper function we have for property extraction, makes it very easy to get the information you want. So as you can see, in this model, we have metal flooring and its area is 23.11 and gypsum wallboard is 21.96. And we're going to create and extract these same information, but inside Power Query. I'm keeping it simple so you understand how the helper function works, but in your cases, you can use it in more complex models as well. And at the end, I'm going to show you a more complex dashboard that uses this helper function. So without further ado, let's get into Power BI. And here's our data. We have sent a single wall element, so we received a single row in Power BI, which corresponds to this wall object, and we can see the information about this wall right here. And to extract the material quantities, I'm going to get into this add column, custom column dialog, and from here, let's add a new column. This is going to be our material quantities, so I'm just going to name it MQ, and the helper function we are going to use is speckle.objects.materialquantities. This accepts a speckle object, and in this case, the data record contains the information about the object, and let's close the parentheses. And I'm going to say OK, and our material quantities are extracted right here. Metal flooring and gypsum wallboard. By default, this helper function extracts the material quantities as a record, but if you want to extract it as a list, and which I recommend extracting as a list, you just need to add another input to your function. So let's simply add a comma after data, and we have another input, output as list. So instead of a record, we can also output it as a list. And as I said, I recommend doing that. So this is a Boolean input. I'm going to set it as true, and let's rerun this function. Now we have a list. Each row corresponds to the same material quantities. But now what I can do is I can actually expand this list into new rows so I can individually interact with different materials here. So this MQ column contains the material quantity objects. And to extract the properties that we're interested in, we can use the properties helper function in this column as well. It works both with speckle objects and any record object that contains properties. In this case, these material quantities has some properties like area, volume, density, etc. It makes extracting those properties very easy. So let me show you how we can do that. Let's add a new column for material quantity properties. And the properties function is located under speckle.objects.properties. Our record is a material quantities record. Let's close parentheses and select OK. And now we can easily see the area, the volume, the material name, etc. It's much more easy to work with. So by default, this helper function expands all the properties, but I want to limit it to only what I want. In this case, it's the material name and the area. Let's do that and run this function again. And now if we select this, we only get the area and material name. It's much easier to work with. So now we can actually expand this into new columns. I can either do that from here, select all columns and say, OK. So this actually hard codes the field names and column names, But at any point, you can go back to your material quantities record and maybe add a new field. This is not dynamic enough to cover those cases. That's why we have another helper function. In one tutorial, I'm showing you 3 helper functions. So we just add a new step here and simply type in speckle.utils.expandrecords. This basically dynamically expands record fields into their own columns. So the table that we are going to reference is edit custom 1. So let's type in edit custom 1. And the column name we want to expand is MQ properties. Let's run this. And now we have our area and material names columns are expanded. But this is dynamic, as I said. So I can actually go back and maybe let's say I want to extract the volume as well. I can just edit here. And if I go back now, I have both area, volume, and material name properties extracted. Having this dynamism really helps. So let's change the data type of area to decimal number. I'm going to do the same for volume as well, even though we're not actually going to use it. And let's load it into Power BI. And now I can actually create a very simple table that has the material name and areas. As you can see, 21.96, 23.11, it's consistent with the data that's coming from Revit. So this is just a very basic introduction to this helper function. But as I said, you can, once you extract the data, you can create very complex dashboards. And let me show you one. Here's the dashboard. I've created this for Snowden architectural model. And after I extracted the material quantities, I put together these reports. I have separate pages for different units. Like for some materials, we are interested in their volume, like concrete. For others, we are interested in their area, like gypsum wallboards, metal panels, glass panels, etc. And for others, we are interested in their length, like mullions, aluminum, iron, etc. And we can also easily see their distributions. Like these are all the aluminums, or by volume, we can easily see the concrete is the most used elements and its total volume. So that's it. In this video, I have introduced you to the new helper function we've added to our data connector. If you faced any issues while following this tutorial, or if you have any feedback about the helper function, let us know at speckle.community. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.